hip cats, groovy chicks, and finger popping daddies. Welcome to the Jazz Ranch. I'm your alternate dominant man. Your alternate ego man. Welcome back. I'm welcome to the hippest YouTube channel you're gonna find on YouTube. Only hip cats are allowed here, no squares. That's why we wear the zoot suit. This is a tradition for jazz musicians. Back from the 30s and the 40s, we all wore zoot suits. That was the thing, man, And, I'm an old soul. I was hanging out with Fats Waller and all the cats back in the day, back in the 40s and 50s, And Fats actually attended a big party honoring Duke Ellington back in those days. And it was in a basement club in Harlem, and I was there. And, all the jazz elite were there, including me. And Fats and Willie the Lion, they were alternating on the piano, doing workouts, on the piano. And the party got so raucous, actually, that the police raided the joint. And when they heard the police whistle, Willie the Lion, he ran out the back door and he climbed up a tree. And, he got up there and he listened and he heard all the sounds. And then all of a sudden he heard Fats' voice. He said, "Hey, man, where are you? What's up, man? What did the bull get you?" And, Willie couldn't imagine how in the world Fats had gotten up that tree on the branch above him. I love that story. Anyway, the KH had a similar story. He had a jazz party at his apartment when he was in college in BU. He was studying business back in those days before he became a musician, and he had a party there. He had musician friends up there, and including dancers from, from colleges, around the Boston University and all that sort of thing. Anyway, there were dancers, there were musicians, there were poets. They were all hanging out in this big party. It got to be about 100 people in this 4-room apartment. And about 12 midnight, the police raided the joint, as they say. Well, the police said you all have to leave, So he told all the people, they were all laying down on the floor at that point, wasted. Anyway, they said, you have to leave. Well, it took 1 whole hour to get everybody out of that place. And the KH, he told all his friends, go across the roof, go upstairs, go across the roof to the ladies' apartment on the other side, and we'll continue the party. So that's how it was. I'm telling you the truth. I would not lie to you. Wait a minute. KH doesn't like me telling these stories. Here he comes. He's coming up the walk with the guard dog. I got to split. I'll see you. Bye-bye. Hello, friends. Welcome. The Jazz Welcome to the Jazz Ranch. The alternate dominant ego man, he got on a roll there. He told this story about Fats Waller. Well, he wasn't actually there. He likes to imagine that he was there. He's not that old. You'd have to be 140 right now to have attended that party. But he knows about the party. He read about it. So he imagines that he was there. But anyway, the part he told about my party at my apartment, 4-room apartment, where we had 100 people, including musicians, dancers, and everybody else. That was raided by the police. And we had to clear out, and it took an hour. But anyway, I told my friends, close friends, to go over the roof, go upstairs and go over the roof to the other apartment on the other side, and we continued the party. That's how it was. That's how we did it back in the day. But anyway, I have a special video for you this evening, and people have asked me to explain how to use the Barry Harris system of the diminished sixth scale. How to use that scale, how to use the chords involved in it, and apply them to a song. So, hey, guess what? I picked out a song for the holiday, White Christmas. So you have a month to learn this because I'm giving it to you early. And I'm going to show you some techniques involving that particular Barry Harris scale, how I use them in this arrangement of White Christmas. I hope you enjoy this. Here we go now with a song for the holidays, Irving Berlin's White Christmas.
You know, I did previous videos on the Barry-Harris diminished sixth scale, explaining the theory of it and also applying it. But people continue to ask me, what good is the scale, or how can I use it in a song? And so I'm going to give you a very simple song having to do with the holiday right now, the Christmas holiday coming up. And White Christmas is a perfect song to illustrate how you could use the Barry-Harris diminished sixth scale and the chords that are within it in a song, a practical application. So I'm going to show you that, and here we go. Now, I think one of the essential things to understand is when you're playing a song, you're going to have tonal centers that change. In other words, in the song White Christmas, you're going to be playing sometimes on the C scale, and then it will go to the 4 chord. So you're going to be playing on the scale of the 4 chord, and then you're going to be playing on the scale of the 5 chord. So in other words, the diminished sixth scale of each of those 3 tonal centers. So what we have to do is we have to look at the C system. Well, I'm going to call it a system. In other words, the C scale, remember that in review that it has the C scale, but now we have the added flat 6. So we have this added note. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 6, 7, 8. We have that. So now we're also going to be dealing with the F system, which is the 4th chord of C, 4th step of C. Within that system, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now flat 6, 6, 7, 8. So the same thing there, but we're going to have these 2 accidentals now, or 2 black notes. In C, we just have that 1 black note, the A flat. In F, we're going to have, that's in the key signature, then this additional one. So we're going to have B flat and D flat in the scale. Now in the G system, we're going to have this one, which is the flat 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 6, 6, and then the G sharp. So, you know, G is a sharp key, which has 1 sharp, F sharp. F has 1 flat, which is B flat. So we're going to have, in C, we're going to have that additional A flat. In F, we're going to have the B flat and the D flat. And in G, we're going to have the F sharp, of course, and the E flat. So we have to remember those flats when we organize how we're going to deal with this scale, applying it to a song in which we're going to have a chord progression that uses those essential 3 tonal centers. Here we go. Now I realize that White Christmas is a very simple song. It's just mostly 3 or 4 chords, really. You know, if you play this in a simple way, it would be just like this. 2 chord, you know, the 5 chord, then the 4 chord. 5 chord, the 1 chord, you know, I mean, but when you involve something like the Barry-Harris system, in other words, Barry-Harris, who's very sophisticated, and you wonder why someone like Barry-Harris is a great genius, you know, an older fellow who has earned the right to be honored, why he would have a GoFundMe on YouTube, you know, like, or on Facebook, to try to get him health care so he can come home from Europe. I mean, why should someone like this have to deal with that? I mean, someone on a genius level who puts so much good things into our lives, and the sophistication level of his playing, you know, doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, I'm going to try to show you how he would have taken that simple melody and those simple chords and applied such sophistication by using the 6th diminished scale. So now it's like this. So it's these chords. So now the first one here happens right away. It's that one. But now the next one, because it's an E flat in the melody, you know. And think about this, you know, we're singing a melody that's chromatic, right? So we have to figure out a chord for each one of these notes. So we got the diminished chord there now in the system of C. Now that one doesn't fit in the system of C. Why? Because it doesn't fit in within that scale. But it does fit in with the system of G, right? Because G has the flat 6 in it. Doesn't fit in the system of the F because F has the D flat. So it's the G system. But no, there's another system which has nothing to do with these three systems, and that is the system in which we play a diminished chord based on its root. So in this case, it's based on the root of C. So that's based on the root of C. So it's a C diminished chord going back to its C. And that's used a lot in Dixieland and in you know, swing music, you know, ragtime music, like you know, this kind of thing, you know. Like that sort of thing, you know, so diminished. So this is a C diminished, back to C. Now we're on the 2 chord. Now this next one, the melody note's an F sharp. Well, that doesn't fall into the C system, doesn't fall in, but it falls into the G system, right? It's the 7th step. Doesn't fall into the F system because it's not in the scale. But so it has to be an F sharp diminished approaching a G chord. And we can call it a G6. So there we have it. C, C system, C diminished now, back to C, 2 chord of the C system, and now approach to the G system. Okay, the next step is kind of complicated because it's D minor. I mean, in the regular chord, it would be like D minor, 2, 5, 1 into C. But now, if you take this into the Barry Harris sophisticated system of the diminished 6th scale, now you have something that sounds like this. Okay, so that you have what? F, you're in the F system. And there's an approach to the G system. We're in the G system now because we're on the 5 chord. So 5 of C is G. So now we're in the G system. We're in this scale. Now we're in this system. You see, so we're switching systems here. Now, what I did was I did a drop 2, so I made it even more complicated for you. I instead of just playing, which is complicated enough compared to this. Right, now I have this. I'm putting those diminished chords in there. Now I'm taking them into a drop 2, so I'm taking the note out here and I'm playing it more like this. Like this. Now, I'm not going to take time in this video to explain that because I have numerous videos on the drop 2. It's just basically taking the 2nd note from the top and putting it on the bottom. So in this case, if I had this, I would take that note out and put it here. And I'm using that F sharp because we're in the G system, right? And I'm doing this. So there's the diminished chord. There's the diminished chord. Diminished chord. Diminished chord. So it alternates between diminished chords and G chords, basically. That's what's happening there. And I end up on the 3 chord, which is just the relative minor of G. And then descend down to the C major. So this is a way to make a simple song complicated or more sophisticated. Now continuing, original chords would have been C major 7, C7, F. But what I did, I used alternate chords. In other words, I used a way to approach the relative minor like this. And I'm using that, right? I'm using the C system there. So I'm going, and then another diminished chord here to approach the, you would think a G minor 7, but it's actually a C7 with a G in the bass to a C13, and then an E diminished, and then I'm going to the 4 chord. There's where I hit the 4 chord, really. And I'm doing something descending there down to the 4 minor 6, which is the same as a D half diminished. And then putting the B flat dominant chord in there. And then another diminished chord, which is in the system of the C to get me back to C. And then this is all C diminished system. See, there it is. You see, there it is. Right within the melody because it's on the C scale. To the G now. Here I'm using a drop 2 system. Right down the C scale. Diminished there, right? Diminished there. This is the same as the C system, but I'm dropping the 2. What does that mean? I'm, instead of playing it like that with 4 note chords, I'm taking that note out and putting it down the left hand. And that's Barry Harris all the way. There's your approach to your C chord for the second half of the tune, which is pretty much a repeat of the first half. So I'm not going to just repeat the same thing I just did in the first half for the second half of the tune, other than what we call a second ending maybe, and taking it from here. Goes to there, to that F, the F chord, and it's 4 related. Then I did a suspension here, 1, 6, 2, 5, to get me back to the 1 chord. So there you have most of the essential things that are involved in this song relating to the 6 diminished scale and how Barry Harris might have harmonized this song. Of course, he would have done a lot more than that, but I mean, I'm giving you some basics now, trying to make the scale practical to you and the chords involved in the scale practical in a way that utilizes a very simple, well-known song, and particularly for the season. So now we'll do some wrap-ups. Just wrapping up, I used Band in the Box. Now with Band in the Box, when you use real band instruments, you cannot program it for a specific ending. You know, I just have to go with the ending that they give me. Because unless I want to use MIDI instruments, which are not as good sounding, I can't really write the notes in and program a specific ending. So I just went with the ending that was there. So forget about the ending. But anyway, the basics are there, and you're hearing an authentic sound from authentic musicians that are playing, and that's the advantage of it. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's complex. This is really complex stuff. It's not for beginners. But if you enjoyed it, please write to me. If you learned something from it, even in a little way, please write to me. I'll have to hear from you. Give me a week to answer because I get a lot of comments, and it takes a while to answer all of them. So here we go, and you'll see me on the wrap-up. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please write to me. I love to hear from you. You know, I always will try to respond to your comments. You know, and you know, it may take me a week because I get a lot of comments and it takes me a while to catch up. So if I get behind by a week, then I take about 6 hours and I catch up. Even if you get just a thank you, you know that I read your comment, and your comments are important to me. So until next time, I'll say in the words of my great friend Hermie Dressel, he's wishing you happy holidays and swing loose. And we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.